Welcome to Researching Happy. This is a podcast all about the science of happiness and mental well-being. But we're going to go beyond the science and explore the stories of the people behind the groundbreaking studies. In each episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the lives and the personal stories of happiness researchers, uncovering their biggest breakthroughs and their experiences along the way. In this quick video, I want to introduce myself and give you a couple of reasons why I'm doing this show. So quickly, my name's Matt Aiello. I'm a wellbeing researcher from Australia, really focused on the most effective ways to build mental well-being. I call myself a translational researcher, meaning that along with my colleagues, we focus on pulling the evidence from the research world and translating that into something that's useful and impactful in the real world. And so that puts us in this interesting position where we've got kind of a foot in both camps and we see what's working and what's not working on either side of that, the research world and the real world. And for example, we've worked across a large proportion of the Australian community. So we've worked in, from the ground up. So schools with students and teachers and at-risk young people. We've worked in sort of general workplaces, like accountants and plumbers and stuff. But then also we've worked with, in police, we've worked in military, we've worked breast cancer survivors. And then, we've worked on the later transitions in life as well. So aging, older populations in the community, the carers, that sort of stuff. And basically when you work with this many people, you hear interesting, people bring up different insights and different questions, I think, about well-being and happiness. And a lot of those questions, I think, happiness researchers haven't often considered themselves. So that's kind of some of the insight that I hope to bring to these conversations. And then for the three reasons of why I want to do the show. So the first is that basically, and obviously, I think, we've got a problem to fix. Rates of mental illness are rising in many parts of the world, particularly in our young people, which is extremely concerning. And I think that's where happiness comes in, basically. So, well-being as a protective factor of future mental illness is something that needs more attention. But also well-being, just as a valuable end in its own right as well. So bringing some light and hearing from the people that are doing this, generating this evidence is really going to be, I think, quite powerful. The second is that I just think the research world is a really interesting place. And I'd like more people to know about what happens behind the scenes, basically. And so if you think about sort of the comedy world and the comedy podcasts that are taking off all over the globe, not only are they hilarious, but it's the behind the scenes look into the world, I think, which is what makes them so interesting. And I actually think that, the research world is very similar to the comedy world. Like, it's obviously less funny, but which is a shame, but it's got all the same challenges, I think, particularly for young people, for people that are starting out. So, things like dealing with rejection, there's competition, there's ego, strategy, highs and lows. And so I think it just makes really interesting stories and interesting conversation. And then the last one is the last reason of doing the podcast is that well-being, lots of different academic fields focus on well-being and they don't often talk to each other. So, you've got psychology, you've got philosophy, economics, theology, there are lots of different places where this stuff can land. And we're all sort of speaking a different language. And as a result, the community that should be around this stuff is kind of fractured. And so what I'm hoping to do with the show is to build a bit of a community around happiness and well-being research. And so I'm looking at a couple of different potential platforms of how we can do that and facilitate, this ongoing conversation about happiness and the science that backs it up. So with that, thank you. Welcome to Researching Happy, and I'm really looking forward to getting started.